This is Vista Records Radio. Welcome to another edition of Vista Records Radio on hightechradio.com and YouTube. My name is Erik Rupp, and I am your host. On this special edition of Vista Records Radio, we are going to have the Vista Records Van Halen Top 30. Not just a top 20, this is a top 30 with what we pick as the 30 best Van Halen songs, our personal favorites and the ones we really think are the best. We're going to have a bunch of songs that you would expect, some that you probably wouldn't, and we are going to include some stuff that maybe you haven't heard before, or if you have, it's not been given an official release. So some really cool stuff here, but let's get this thing started. And we're going to start off with number 30 and a track off of Women and Children First. This track is called Romeo Delight, and it is a wild one. It's got a ton of dynamics. It kind of slows down a bit in the verse, then it picks up for the chorus. It is just a fantastic song, a ton of energy. This is Van Halen and Romeo Delight.
Never had no special reasons much to like, 'cause I ain't leaving. We're in for a very long night. Heard a vicious rumor from your mama's tongue. You a desperate woman, need a man with a gun. High crime zone in the city of lights. Say the please, ain't thinking anymore. I beg please, ain't thinking anymore.
Now at number 29, we've got one that's one of those obvious choices, a song that you have to have on the list because it's just so damn good. It is a classic. It's one of their iconic songs, and it's one that comes off the same album as the track we just played. This is off of Women and Children First. This is And the Cradle Will Rock.
And the cradle will rock. Yes, the cradle will rock. And I say rock crawl. Ooh. Rock crawl.
Now, before we get to number 28, I should mention one of the ground rules we set up for this list, and that is no cover songs. And while I know many of the cover songs that Van Halen recorded, they really made their own. You Really Got Me, especially their cover of Dancing in the Street was just a phenomenal reworking of the song. They aren't theirs to begin with, and so I'm just going to stick with, for this list, we're going to go with Van Halen Originals. And speaking of Van Halen Originals, this one definitely qualifies. This is the first entry on the list from Fair Warning, their great album from 1981, probably their darkest and most adventurous album. It's got a lot of different moods, a lot of different sonic textures, and this song is one of the ones that was a little bit different from what they did before, but still sounds like classic Van Halen. The track is So This Is Love.
When my baby's on the corner and she's looking so fine, put one and one together and it blow my mind. Man needs love to live, I'm the living proof. Catch that smiling eye at the roof. Big double take, but you keep on walking. I'm in love. Once over, I'm overdone. So this is love. Ooh, I need your loving. Come on, baby, take me.
In at number 28 there, that was So This Is Love. Moving forward at number 27, this is one of the songs that really kind of paved the way for what a lot of people called pop metal in the 80s. It was a very accessible, very melodic, extremely catchy song, but it's also absolutely phenomenal. From Van Halen 2, this is Dance the Night Away.
Ooh, baby, baby. Take a dance. You're old enough to dance the night away. Oh, come on, baby, dance the night away.
In at number 26, we have the first appearance by Van Hagar on our list, the Sammy Hagar era stuff. This comes off the 1995 album Balance, and it's just a really, really good song, one of the better efforts from Van Hagar. This one is called Aftershock.
I'm living with the aftershock. I said, my, well, I never thought she'd want, but now I'm living with the aftershock, and it ain't gonna change, it ain't gonna wait, now.
At number 25 on the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30, we've got the first appearance from a song from the 1976 demo, which many people have titled Zero, Van Halen Zero. This song is called Big Trouble. It would be reworked later on a Different Kind of Truth from 2012 into a track called Big River, but I tend to prefer the Big Trouble version, so that's what's coming in at number 25 from Zero. This is Big Trouble.
So lock the door, there is no doubt, he's sounding so, and now he be my life. So dry your eyes, my little friend, another time, I'm back again.
All right, at number 24 on the Van Halen Top 30, we've got another track from Van Halen Zero from November of 1976. This one, it was redone again on A Different Kind of Truth. This one a little bit closer to the original than the one we just heard. This track is called She's the Woman.
There goes another star out at the street. There really is something else to see. So many lovelies, oh, this can't be me. Only that was just for me. I'm gonna take the time to let you know I'm here. I know she's the woman. She's the woman. She's the woman.
At number 23 on our Van Halen Top 30, we've got another appearance from the Sammy Hagar era. This comes off of their 1991 album For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and this one was the lead single off the album, of course best known for Eddie's playing of a drill. It is Pound Cake.
Yeah, she's got a soul. Oh, it won't feel right. Well, just plain, clean, and simple. Wrapped up nice and tight. And home, down home, that makes one.
Coming in at number 22 on our Van Halen Top 30, it's another track from For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and it's the second song on the album. This is an absolute kick-ass song that holds up really well against the David Lee Roth era, and this one is Judgment Day.
Put it out until Judgment Day. I bear that same old cross on Judgment Day.
At number 21 on this list, we've got The Trouble with Never. It's from the David Lee Roth reunion album, A Different Kind of Truth, which came out in 2012. That is just a great album, fits right in with their classic stuff from the first 6 albums. And while a number of the songs were reworked demos that were done early in their career, this one, I believe, was an original for that album. I've never heard a demo that sounded anything like it. If you have, let us know. Put it in the comments below. But for right now, this is The Trouble with Never.
You often wonder, you want to know, how deep does a rabbit hole go? I know you never thought about it, but ask yourself later. When you turn on your stereo, does it return the favor? I gotta know. That's the trouble with never. Sure,
right, and with that, we have reached the top 20. We've seen a lot of Van Halen top 20 lists recently, and, well, if you're looking for a top 20, here you go. This is it. So in at number 20, one of their most iconic songs off of one of their most successful albums. This is a song best known for its drum and guitar intro and its really iconic video. It was a video that showed why Van Halen was hot for teacher.
I think of all the education that I missed, but then my homework was never quite like this. Oh, got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. I'm hot for teacher. I got it bad, so bad. I'm hot for teacher.
For number 19, we're going to go back to Van Halen 2 from 1979, and this is a track that just epitomizes what classic Van Halen is all about. This song is called DOA.
They sent the sheriff down to try and drive us away. We were sitting ducks for the policeman. They found a dirty-faced kid in a garbage can. Ooh. And I'm alone. I'm on the highway. Whoa, yeah. Dead or alive. Dead or alive.
You are listening to the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30. My name is Erik Rupp, and I am your host. Well, at number 18, we're going to have another track from Van Halen's November 1976 demo tape that some people have called Van Halen Zero. It was basically an album's worth of material produced by Gene Simmons. It was recorded in both Los Angeles and New York. The New York tracks we know were engineered by Dave Whitman, who's a well-known engineer who often worked with Eddie Kramer. Now, Whitman did the engineering on a number of overdubs, mostly guitar and vocals, and then he mixed 5 songs on there. As far as who mixed the rest of the tracks in Los Angeles, we don't know. That hasn't come out yet. But according to Greg Renoff's book, Van Halen Rising, Whitman did mix 5 tracks in New York. And this may very well be one of them. So from Van Halen Zero, and later on reworked as Beats Workin' on a Different Kind of Truth, this is Put Out the Lights. At number 17, we are going to go back once again to Van Halen 2, which was just a great album. It's almost as good as the first album, not quite, but really, really close. It's a great album. And this is one of those songs that has a classic Van Halen riff. This is pure Eddie Van Halen. It's the kind of riff that nobody else would have come out with at the time, but 10 years later, a whole bunch of people would. So this is, again, one of those songs you hear, you immediately know it's Van Halen just from the music. So at number 17, we've got Outta Love Again.
Ooh, woman out, silly games you play, yeah. Wow, dealing with your troubles drove me away, yeah. Oh, well, saying that you're leaving, I don't want to hear that talk. Stare disbelief in me when I just up and walk. Out of love again. Out of love.
At number 16, we've got another track from Van Halen, Zero, but this one does not have a version on a later album. This is one that has not been re-recorded or reworked by Van Halen as of this date, but it should have. I mean, this is a great song, and all the songs on the demo are great. It's just amazing how that demo, as Gene Simmons shopped it and tried to get them signed, that nobody picked it up. Nobody picked them up. They didn't get it. Bill O'Coin, Kiss's manager, he didn't see the appeal. The A&R guy from Mercury Records, he hated Van Halen. You know, it's just all these people just didn't get it. And this great demo tape with all these great songs couldn't get them signed. It wasn't until Ted Templeman saw them in a club that he finally saw how great they were, and he found out about the demo tape later on. So anyway, this comes off of Zero, and it's one that you may or may not have heard before, but it's unique to Zero because it hasn't been on any albums after that. This one's called Babe, Don't Leave Me Alone. At number 15, we are halfway through the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30. And here at number 15, we are going to go back to Fair Warning, which a lot of people consider the Guitar Player's Van Halen album. This is the album that a lot of guitar players come to because of all the stuff that Eddie was doing on that album that was experimental. The tapping he did, getting the harmonics at the beginning of Mean Street, the stuff he did with the drop D tuning on Unchained. There's all that stuff that's on that album. So it's a really cool album in terms of being adventurous and experimental, but it's also still a killer Van Halen album. So from Fair Warning, number 15 is Hear About It Later.
See, I've been tried and convicted. It's winner take all. I want to run from my money, that's all.
In at number 14, we've got a song that does date back to that original demo from 1976, but the best version of that song, the definitive version of the song, is on the first Van Halen album from 1978. This song just kicks all sorts of ass. It is high tempo, it is high energy, and the band is just simply on fire. At number 13 on Vista Records Radio's Van Halen Top 30, we've got maybe the most interesting scenario of the list. Right now we're going to play you a song that was recorded on the original 1976 demo, the Zero demo, and also reworked in 1984. Now, the only thing these songs have in common is the song title and the main riff. Everything else is different. So they're really essentially two different songs just with the same title and one common riff. I personally prefer the original 1976 version. It's more of an angry ass-kicking song, but the later version is great as well, and it could easily have made this list. But for right now, for this list, we are going to go with the 1976 version of House of Pain at number 13. Continuing on with the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30, we now move to number 12 and the first track on this list from Diver Down. The album came out in 1982, and it is a polarizing album. A lot of Van Halen fans just don't like it very much, while a lot of others like it a lot. They love the album. To me, it is the perfect summertime album. It is a great album. I still remember the summer of 82 when that thing came out. Dancing in the Street, Pretty Woman. It was just a great time to listen to Van Halen. It was a great album for just hanging out in the summer. Now, while the album has a lot of cover tunes, and it is best known for its cover tunes, one of the best tracks on the album is an original. Actually, several of the originals on the album are fantastic. This one has a really cool intro, and then it has a great song to go with it. Some classic Eddie Van Halen. At number 12, we have Little Guitars.
Señorita, I'm in trouble again and I can't get free. Señorita, you're exactly what the doctor ordered. Come on, talk to me. Can't grow before I'm out of the woods, but there's exceptions to the rule. Señorita, do you need a friend? I'm in love with you. Get your sketch, get your sketch.
At number 11, we're going to go back once again to Van Halen 2. And this is one of those tracks, it's an album cut, and some people would say it's a deep album cut, but with an album that good, how deep is it really? Because it's one of those albums you just play from start to finish. Even these days, in the era of playlists, you're going to play this one from start to finish. Van Halen 2 is just that good. And this is one of the songs that you're always cranking up a little bit more when it comes on. At number 11, it's Light Up the Sky.
Loud bell ringers coming out of the gates, taking chances with a crash and burn. And there is the way the beauty, but you never get love. Cross the line with none return. I watched my television, almost lost my mind. It said, open your eyes, be there or behind. I am the wind to whispering, some magic coming out. Ain't coming off the shore.
All right, well, we are now in the top 10 of the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30, and coming in at number 10 is one of their most iconic songs, and one of the songs that gets some of the most radio play of all their tracks. It's got a really unique beat, kind of what Dave called a heavy metal rumba, and as you probably figured out by now, at number 10, we're talking about Jamie's Crying. For number 9, we're going to be moving back to Diver Down from 1982. This is another one of the originals from that album, and it is another great high-energy song. A lot of firepower in this one, a lot of fun. This one's called Hang 'Em High.
Somewhere he lost in a turn. That trouble seems to fit him like a glove. First come, first serve, he's serving it back. Travels life without a pack, without love.
Coming in at number 8 on the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30, we've got another track from the first Van Halen album. Now, this one sounds very much like the times. In the mid-70s, there was a big bit of 1950s music nostalgia. 50s rock and roll, the nostalgia, the style, that was kind of back in. So a lot of bands were kind of playing songs that were kind of 70s takes on 50s rock. And this, to me, kind of fits in with that done Van Halen style. And it's a song that really influenced a lot of 80s bands. You hear that kind of sound coming in the mid to late 80s, where a lot of bands were really expanding on this and taking it forward from there. But this one is just a fantastic song. It really is catchy, well worth being in the top 10. It is definitely worthy, and this one's called Feel Your Love Tonight.
So I told the fellas out behind the bar, told them to tell you, honey, just how fine you are. Yes, yes you are. You see, I'm begging you, please, begging on my knees, saying I can't wait to feel your love tonight.
At number 7, we've got another song from the first Van Halen album. Now, I've been using the term iconic for a lot of the songs that they've had on this list, and I got to tell you, this is a band that has a ton of iconic songs. They have so many great songs that are so closely identified with the band where everybody knows these songs, or at least all the serious hard rock fans, that, you know, you've got a bunch of songs that, wow, there's this song and there's that song, and they are all great, and they are all well known and synonymous with Van Halen. Well, it's hard to pick one that's more synonymous with Van Halen than this one. It originally came from their 1976 demo tape. It was produced by Gene Simmons in much the same way that Ted Templeman produced the final album version, and I'm going to blend the two versions together. Now, the big difference, Ted Templeman slowed it down. He thought that the song was not quite as menacing as it could be given the subject matter, so he had them slow it down, make it a little more of a lumbering song, and have a little more of a punch to the gut than a punch to the face, if you will. And this one really worked at that tempo, although it worked at the other tempo too. It's interesting because it works both ways, and when they play it live, they typically play it faster than the studio version. But anyway, you probably got the idea right now. The lead track on the first Van Halen album, number 7 on our list, it's Runnin' with the Devil. This next song on our list comes from one of Van Halen's most successful albums. This was the album that turned Van Halen into household names. They became superstars of the 80s, and with good reason. There were some really great songs on the album, and this one may very well be the best. Now, for a lot of people, it's kind of burned out. You know, you've heard it so many times. You've seen the video a billion times. But damn, that riff is just so good, and the song is just so catchy. How can you help but love it? So Van Halen, number 6 on our list, is Panama. We are up to number 5 on the Van Halen Top 30 here on Vista Records Radio. And at number 5, we've got another song from the first Van Halen album. An album so good you could probably make a strong case that 7 or 8 of those songs should be on the list. And it's kind of hard to argue against that. So at number 5, we've got another track. This one, well-known song, one of their classics, a song that most people would put in the top 10, maybe the top 5. And it's got a classic riff that sounded like nothing before it. So at number 5, Van Halen, Ain't Talking About Love.
I have the news, baby, all about your disease. Yeah, you may have all you want, baby, but I got something you need. Oh yeah, ain't talking about love. My love is right to the core. Ain't talking about love, just like I've told you before. Yeah, before.
At number 4, we've got a song that also comes off their original 1976 demo, but that's not the version that's on the list. In this case, the album version is superior to the demo version, and it's just an absolute classic. It is a kick-ass monster riff song, and it's short, it's to the point, punches you in the face, really hits the marks, great catchy vocal melodies, a great hook, and just, like I said, a monster riff. So with this one, Somebody Get Me a Doctor.
Let 'em call up the ambulance, I'm deep in shock. Oh, Lordy, baby, I can hardly walk. Somebody give me a doctor. Somebody give me a doctor. I'm feeling overvalued, and I'm straight out down that line.
At number 3, we've got another monster song from Fair Warning. With this one, Eddie was doing something at the beginning that had a lot of guitar players at the time going, what the hell is he doing? And they had to sit down and figure that out. I had a guitar player in the band with me, and he learned how to do that kind of thing. Pretty impressive once you learn how to do it. But anyway, this is a great song all around from beginning to end, from the flashy beginning to the very end. This song is just a great, great song from a great album. At number 3, it's Mean Street.
That same old talk, and I'm searching for the latest thing. I break in this routine. I'm talking some new kicks, ones like you ain't never seen. This is home. This is Mean Street. This is home. The only one I know.
Now, number 2 on our list may come as a bit of a surprise to most of you, but this is a track that comes originally off of the 1976 demo Zero, and it was reworked for a different kind of truth, but we tend to prefer the original demo version. The lyrics, well, a little bit kind of dumb 70s rock kind of thing. They were a lot more fun, and just the vibe was just a little bit better. And the song, I mean, just the riff just kicks ass either way. But this is a great song, both versions. The version from A Different Kind of Truth, which is called Out of Space. And, of course, this version here, Let's Get Rockin'. Number 2 on the Vista Records Van Halen Top 30.
Ain't no stopping, no, it just can't stop their beat.
it's time for number 1 on the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30. And of course, if you're paying attention at all, you probably know which song this is by which one hasn't been picked yet. This is a classic song. When you've seen all the recent Van Halen Top 20 lists, this song has been on almost all of them. Eddie Trunk's list noticeably missing this song, however. But almost everybody else has it. And if you really scored the song out, it probably comes out number 1 overall. This is just, again, a classic track. One of the earliest Van Halen videos, one of the ones that you saw a ton on MTV in the early to mid-'80s. So right now we're going to play the track, or play part of it. The number 1 song on the Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30 is, from Fair Warning, Unchained. All right, that's it. The Vista Records Radio Van Halen Top 30. The top 30 Van Halen songs as picked by us here at Vista Records Radio. I hope you enjoyed the list. Pro or con, feel free to post your own lists on YouTube in the comments section below, or go on vistarecords.us and you can post them on there as well. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for checking out the video and checking out the list, and we hope to catch you on our next regular show of Vista Records Radio. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.